Warning, from the start, the forthcoming episode has graphic violence, self-harm, drug abuse, and other explicit content.
Are you serious?
I'm Nick Bright, and he is Marcus Bronzy. This is How to Kill an Hour, the podcast about tech. Now, the sources for today's show are Insider, Vice, and the documentary The Dangerous Life of John McAfee.
Nice. I like the way you pronounce McAfee correctly instead of McAfee. Yeah. Which is what I've done for most of my life.
I mean, it is what I've done for most of my life, but literally just before we hit the record button, we had a chat and you told me exactly how to say it. So there you go, listener. That's exactly what happened, because I would have said McAfee. Yeah, and then the true McAfee fans out there would be like, you flipping amateurs. Headphones would be getting torn off and thrown into the corners of the rooms. People would be slamming doors and walking out on us, proverbially and digitally as well, with the unsubscribe button. Anyway, when I say John McAfee to you, Nick, what comes to mind? Well, the obvious, really, isn't it? Antivirus software, especially from the early noughties.
Yes, antivirus software. As a Mac connoisseur, I have to say I've not really messed around with antivirus software, but I used to have real joy in updating my antivirus software because I felt like I'm protected against this dangerous thing called the internet. When I had my PC back in the day, I used to love updating my McAfee antivirus, or Norton I think I used as well.
Threat has been detected.
It felt like, well, you say you're a Mac connoisseur now, right? It felt like, how your Mac constantly needs updates. Yeah. You notice this, every bloody day. It's every week, you got that little pop-up in the corner, update. It's like, bloody hell, mate, can't you just do all this in one? Not in one, but you know what I mean? Less often would be good. That's what it was like with antivirus software, I swear down. Back in the day, it just always needed updating. And then 99% of us, I know what you're going to say because we've done an episode on hacking and stuff like that in the past, but 99% of us just click, do it later.
Yeah. Later. And then 3 years later, it's there are 7,000. Yeah, your computer has basically got gonorrhea. And also back in the day, when I say back in the day, it was a few years ago, before we had legit streaming platforms for music, you had to download your music. And before iTunes was doing its job, if you downloaded music, you were using things like LimeWire, Napster, and all that kind of stuff. And bruv, I just want to say, Nick knows about this. A lot of the stuff you downloaded was music, but once in a while you download something that you thought was a tune, and instead it would be like a virus, and your virus software would be like, it'd be like Star Trek, you know what I mean? Red alert, shields up.
LimeWire, mate, that was LimeWire, was basically the computer version of banging bare prostitutes without condoms.
Pretty much.
It's just it was just danger zone, you know?
Pretty much. The dangerous back there, but a lot more dangerous now, yeah.
Super strains of bloody chlamydia flying around, you know what I mean? It's unprotected sex now. That's so true, you know?
Exactly.
It was mad that we all used to do that, but hey, you had to do what you had to do to get the latest Nelly album.
Fuck it off.
Nelly and the St. Lunatics. You know, you had to do what you had to do, mate.
Wow, okay. Wow, didn't realise that's the level certain people had to stoop to just to get those tunes, bruv. You get me? I actually for a second thought you meant banging prostitutes to get tunes, but then I realised you're talking about Napster. No.
I'm talking about getting LimeWire, yeah. I mean, although I'm sure there are some people out there that did bang prostitutes to get some tunes, you know what I mean? Maybe.
Yeah, for that exclusive, baby.
Yeah.
Do you ever remember using McAfee, John McAfee antivirus or McAfee antivirus?
Yeah, definitely. I swear my first PC had it.
Yeah, it was free for most PCs, and that was quite an interesting sales point of it. And we'll actually get into that with the life and times of John McAfee. And we are speaking about John in the past tense because he's no longer with us. But in today's episode, we're going to talk about the man behind McAfee antivirus, John McAfee, one of the most, I'd say, out there guys in the tech industry. I'm going to say now, when you watch The Wolf of Wall Street, they do embellish that film and make it seem a lot crazier than things were. Like, you know, for example, the yacht scenes and stuff. If you go on the internet and research them and see the actual real footage, it's quite conservative. This is going to be the opposite of that. the stuff I tell you, I'm probably going to leave out loads. and some of that is to save you and your actual conscience and life because you don't want to hear them. And the other reason is that it's just absolutely mental. Now, unfortunately, John passed away in June 2021 in what sounds like quite suspicious circumstances. And we will get to that as well. But way before that, this man had a roller coaster of a life. And over the next few episodes, we will be discussing it. McAfee was born in Cinderford in the Forest of Dean, Gloucestershire, in the United Kingdom. Yes, big up the UK gang. On the On the 18th of September 1945, on a US Army base to an American father, Don McAfee, who was stationed there, and British mother Joan. Don McAfee.
Don.
What's her name? Sounds
Fantastic.
like a god. That'd be a great name for a godfather, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Don McAfee.
Although it is a proper, I feel like, I know we have Dons over here because I'm guessing Don is short for Donald, in the same way Donald Trump. Yep. But I feel like it's really American. I feel like it's way more American than it is British.
Don
McAfee.
My name's Don McAfee.
Yeah, here it would be like Donny. You're right, Donny.
Yeah. Or just Donald.
Donald, yeah, you're right, Donald. Yeah. You're right. I'm with you.
Although there was a footballer called Don Hutchinson back in the day. Anyway, we digress.
Back onto the sports. Go on, Nick.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, it was Don McAfee. Don McAfee was stationed there, and British mother Joan. His father was from Roanoke, Virginia, and returned there when John was still a youngster with the family in tow. Now, his father, in McAfee's words, was a heavy drinker and a very unhappy man who, McAfee said, beat him and his mother severely. When McAfee was 15, his father shot himself, something which McAfee said affected him daily, with him saying,
"Every day I wake up with him. Every relationship I have, he's by my side. Every mistrust, he is the negotiator of that mistrust. So, my life is fucked."
McAfee started drinking heavily in his first year at Roanoke College and supported himself by selling magazine subscriptions door to door, where he'd knock and announce that the lucky resident had won a free subscription, and all they had to do was pay a small shipping and handling fee.
So, in fact, I'm explaining to them why it's not free and why they are going to pay for it. But the ruse worked.
Flipping heck, man. I sometimes I'm really upset that I wasn't around in those times when you could just do a good old scam and everyone was happy. That's a good scam, isn't it?
It was so easy to get away with as well back in the day because nothing was like, although this is obviously tech and computers and blah, 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 blah. But like, I feel like things weren't necessarily always logged on a computer. It's like they just had like a paper log, you know what I mean, of stuff, and it could easily be forged, it could easily be lost. Yeah, my dad always tells me how like things back when he was growing up was so different, you know, like things like car tax, for example. Yeah, over here, if you're listening in the UK, you'll understand how it works, but car tax is basically something you have to pay for once a year or once every 6 months, depending on how you do it. And you have to pay for it just to have your car on the road. If you don't pay for it, you get a fine. Back in the day, we used to have physical tax discs. Now, Marcus, you're old enough to remember those because I am as well.
Yes.
You used to put a physical tax disc in your windscreen. Now it's all digital, mate. There's no tax discs. If you don't pay for it, the computer realizes and says, "Listen, mate, fine coming straight to your house in 5, 4, 3, 2, bang." Back in the day, my dad said he knew people that would just put tax in the post, like in the tax disc holder, and they would have it like that for years. Literally years. Tax in the post. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a guy around selling wonky tax discs because, again, no computer to go. There's no like mobile phone in your hand for you to go, "Can we just ring this up, please, and check up this tax disc?" No, it was just like, well, that looks legit, doesn't it? Or it doesn't.
Wonky tax disc, wonky MOT certificates. Woo! Just wonky everything. Woo! Like, not just to do with cars. Yeah. You name it, mate. You know, like back in the day, crime was so easy.
It was good. You know, I feel like crime was a bit of fun. It was fun crime, innit? Oh, a little wonky tax disc. Yeah.
You know, if you want to go even further back, mate, you know, robbing a bank, just walk in with a gun, put all the money in the bag. See you later.
Exciting for everyone. Everyone has something to talk about as well at lunchtime. Oh, mate, lunch was crazy because at the bank got robbed. Crazy.
Got robbed again.
Yeah.
Oh, like, whereas now it's like you go in the bank, even if you've got like a, I don't know, like a AK-47 or something, like a crazy gun.
Yep.
Like they just press one button and the whole place shuts down.
That's
like,
it.
You're done.
Yep, your face is on camera. That's it. You're caught. Nah, not like the good old days of crime. We're joking, obviously.
Good old days where can you just put a bandana around your face, go into the bank, walk out with like sacks of cash. Yeah, fantastic.
Now I've got now I've got to make sure that I'm driving a ULEZ vehicle, this compliant vehicle. Otherwise, 30 quid of the money I've stolen every single time goes streit to the man.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Congestion
or I've
charge
got to get the tube. Man's got to jump on the central line with all my cash.
Horrible. Yeah, but you know what though? With that being said, I almost got done the other day. Not a scam, but with a similar thing. I got sent a little voucher, shall I say, saying you can order some beers, right? And you get like a case of beers for free. I was like, a case of beers for free? That sounds good, doesn't it, Nick? A case of beers for free right now, doesn't it?
Hey, sounds Nick, fantastic. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm in.
All you have to do is pay one off delivery charge of £8. And I was like, yeah, okay, hang on. That's £8 for a case. Let me look at this case of beers. I was like, I think I'm paying for some cheap beers and a kind of cheap delivery as well. I called one of my mates who'd done it, and he was like, I was like, I got this delivery thing through. He goes, mate, when you try and leave this company, you'll get 2 or 3 emails and a phone call asking why you're trying to unsubscribe from these delicious beers, because after your one single £8 payment, they start charging you for the cases of beers as well. And I almost got caught by it, you know. I almost was tempted.
Almost done ya.
Yeah, they almost did. And
but then it's all a scam, really. You know, if we're going to go that deep, it's like when Netflix and Amazon and Tidal and all these companies give you the month-long free trial at the start in the hope that you'll forget to cancel and just like crack on, you know.
That's right. Scam. Patreon, things like that, you know.
No. Patreon's fantastic. Not the Patreon. That's superb. That is. Nobody should ever cancel that.
It is interesting, and there's that whole freemium model as well, actually, Nick, innit? To keep going. So you get something for free, like an app. You have a go on it, you really enjoy it, and then one day you try and use one of the like really cool features on it. It's like, oh, you got to pay for that.
Yeah, a little bit like those ones where you know those like apps where you have to like build a society and all of that crap.
Yeah,
it's like they fully get you, because like when you first play it, it's like you have loads of like coins and stuff like that to build stuff, and then the coins start running dry, and it's like
you can upgrade to this
and you can do that. It's like whoa.
Exactly,
not sucking me in like that.
Those apps must hate me, because I'm like, yeah, I'll watch an ad. Thank you. Yeah, I'll watch an ad, and I'll just pop my phone down and be like, having a little break. There you go.
I actually won't watch the ad, so the joke's on you guys.
Yeah, small victories. Right, anyway, so John, the man, when he was making these sales, like I said, he would go, here's a free magazine subscription, all you have to do is pay for shipping and handling, which was basically meaning it wasn't free, and he made all right money off this business. And John at the time spent his money on booze, but managed to graduate and start a PhD in mathematics at Northeast Louisiana State College in 1968. However, he did get kicked out for sleeping with one of his undergraduate students. He ended up sleeping with one of the undergraduate students. Yeah, he's a nutter. And ended up coding old school punch card programs for Univac in Bristol, Tennessee. That didn't last long either, because he was arrested for buying marijuana, and the lawyer got him off without a conviction. But even though he was got off without a conviction, he was fired.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I feel like the last bit of the statement there is the least surprising thing that's happened in the podcast so far.
Yeah.
It's like you got kicked out for banging one of your undergrad students who you then married, and then you started coding some nonsense, and then you started smoking and buying weed. I mean, yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the sacking was deserved.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You can see already this guy's got a bit of a roller coaster life, because, if I'm honest, Nick, it doesn't get any lighter from here.
Buckle up, everyone.
Before getting fired, he had learned enough to write up an awesome CV. John McAfee's CV at the time was totally made up, though. Again, legend. Back in the day, you could just get away with it. I mean, like, you just put a lie on it. I mean, there is a joke. I think Dane Baptiste says something about, comedian Dane Baptiste, friend of the show, says that he put Microsoft Access on your CV because no one will know how to use it anyway, so you can lie about that. I don't know. What kind of cool things would you put on your CV if you were going to make a lie up? I put a...
Mate,
go on.
I was just going to say, everyone on their CV under hobbies puts reading, cooking. It's all bollocks. You know, like they always put things that make them sound like intellectual. Whereas, like, if you were being truthful, it's like under hobbies, it'd be like sitting on my ass watching Netflix. You know, and then like in your cover letter, you know, when you're applying for a job at a company, in your cover letter, again, if you were being honest, you would just be like, I want to work for this company because I need money and you are offering money. The end. You know what I mean?
You seem like you offer the most money for the least amount of work. That's why I want to work for you. Instead, you end up in your interview after telling all these lies like this.
Yeah, Nick, really impressive CV here. Really, really impressive. I love the fact that in your hobbies, you also like to do Krav Maga, which is quite an interesting kind of martial arts, isn't it? I mean, that's special forces learn how to do that. How do you pick that up then?
Trust me, like my best mate's sister's granddad's brother, he was in the Royal Marines, and I actually showed him how to do it. Like nobody in the you know, in the special forces kind of knew how to do it until, in fact, my middle name is Krav Maga. They've named it after me because, you know, I'm so good at it. You know?
Fantastic. Also,
maybe I'll show you one day.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, also shows that you do knitting as well.
Yeah, you know me and the knitting needles. Like when I like to relax, you know, when I want to make a nice woolly hat or some socks, or maybe if I want to really push the boat out, I'll make a cardigan. Why not? You know?
Okay, cool. Here it also says rocket science as a hobby. You help to develop the new NASA rockets. And the Virgin and the SpaceX ones as well.
Yeah.
You helped to develop all of those.
Yeah. Well, you know, Mr. NASA and Elon Musk and you know, Richard Branson, they're all friends of mine. You know, okay. We all get on really well when we're down Soho House. And they just asked me one day, yo, Nick, you sound like such a clever, interesting character. Do you want to build some rockets? I said no at first, but like they begged me. You know, it was embarrassing to be honest. So like I just did it as a favour.
That's great. And are you that's so impressive. That's really impressive. Thank you. Are you ready to start on Monday then? Because we actually have a bit of space. Somebody's actually moved up from frying the fries and they've gone on to flipping the burgers. So are you ready to start Monday? Is that right?
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Cool.
Let's do it. I really need this job. I need this money.
Cheers. Thanks.
So that's basically me in every single interview. You know, what was the best question as well, where you have to chat shit? So what's your biggest weakness? And then you always, come on, you're a liar if you don't try and flip the whole, well, you know, sometimes I just care too much about work. Sometimes I go home and I sit there and I think, whoa, did I shut down my monitor? Because I want to make sure that I save energy at this company. And sometimes I go home after, you know what I mean? I would chat the most shit. You know, what's the best thing about a job? When a customer feels great. I'm like, when a customer fucks off. That's my best fucking feeling. Yeah. When a customer comes up and goes, are you closing soon? And you say, yeah, we are. It's 5:15 and we close at 6:30, so we're pretty much closed. And they fuck off and never come back.
The best thing about a job, I tell you, when I'm fucking walking out the door, you cunts. When I'm leaving. You know, when I'm leaving this fucking dump.
Yeah.
Not when I'm coming in. That's the worst bit.
Exactly.
I'm going to deal with you and all the rest of the twats.
And do you know what I really love? When I take a shit when I'm not on my lunch break. Because you know what? You're paying me for doing fuck all. Yeah? And I take a 15-minute shit every day. Yeah?
Those were the days, man. I used to work for a company called, well, I'm not going to say what they're called, actually. I used to work for a company.
Just in case. It's like, just in case, boy. You never know.
I used to work for a company that... they actually used to make navigation for boats and ships.
Oh wow!
And I used to be on the soldering line, like soldering the electronics and that. Whoa. I've done so many mad jobs, bro. Let me tell you. And boy, every day, mate, 25-minute dump. I was like, I can't take this shit, man. Literally, like I need to go and have a 25-minute dump. And this was iPhones as well, so it's like I'm just sitting in there like playing Snake and shit.
You really hate your job. Yeah, you're there reading you're reading things that you scribbled on the door yesterday.
Reading the fucking ingredients on the bleach bottle next to the toilet and that. It's because I hate everything about this place.
Exactly that. Well, it's funny you should say that because John, with his wonky CV, managed to whack together something that was so impressive that he got a job at Missouri Pacific Railroad. It wasn't the soldering line, Nick, but it was still a pretty important company to work for. In 1969, the company was attempting to use IBM computers to schedule trains, and after 6 months, McAfee systems that he popped in and implemented began to churn out optimizing train routing patterns. Unfortunately, John McAfee had also discovered LSD. So he would drop acid in the morning, go to work, and route trains all day, high on acid. One morning, he decided to experiment with another psychedelic called DMT. He did a line and felt nothing. Then he decided to snort a whole bag of this orangish powder. Now, with DMT, what people don't realize is it takes a while to kick in. In fact, when you go and take ayahuasca or whatever it is from the actual people that shall I say qualified is the wrong set of words, but when you go to do it with the tribes, they actually give you a test a day where you take this drug and it kind of measures out how sensitive you are to it, Nick. Do you know what I mean? It's like, imagine never drinking before and everybody having a sip of a beer or a Smirnoff Ice would be sensible. You wouldn't go straight onto 10 shots of tequila. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas a more experienced drinker, or a Smirnoff Ice, yeah, which actually, you know, I don't care, I'm going to get judged for this. Smirnoff Ice tastes quite nice. But so basically, it's meant to have a tester amount. So John missed that whole thing and just did a whole bag. And when describing the situation, McAfee said,
"Within an hour, my mind was shattered."
People started asking him questions, but he didn't understand what they were saying. The computer started spitting out train schedules to the moon. He couldn't make sense of it. He ended up behind a garbage can in downtown St. Louis, hearing voices and desperately hoping that nobody would look at him. Goes without saying that he never went back to Missouri Pacific. And according to Wired magazine, part of him at the time when he was still alive believed that he was still on that trip, and everything since has been one giant hallucination, and one day he'll snap out of it and find himself back on his couch at home. Imagine feeling like that, man. I'd be on edge all the time.
Do you know what's incredible about that? The magazine is called Wired magazine, and it's like he was clearly fucking wired when he was behind the trash cans in downtown St. Louis hearing voices. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so he literally was wired. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Could you imagine if that was like the subtle undertone of Wired magazine? It was like, Wired, this week's Wired guest.
Anyway, it's a magazine about drugs, not tech.
Anyway, it turns out McAfee did feel on edge from then on, and he felt like he was always one step away from total breakdown, which finally came at a fertilizer company called Omex in 1983. He was snorting lines of coke off his desk most mornings and polishing off a bottle of scotch every day and living in fear that he would run out of drugs. His wife had left him, he'd given away his dog, and in the wake of what he calls a mutual agreement, he left Omex. I mean, what do you think that mutual agreement was?
Yeah. Omex, yeah.
Is everything all right, John?
Yeah, what's up, boss? I'm all good. Good.
Just having a few complaints from other members of staff saying that
What are they saying? What are they saying about me? I mean, what are they saying about me? Good things, right? Because you know what? I like to think I'm the life of the party. Is it me? Is it hot in here? Or are you feeling cold?
Sometimes I don't know how to say this, John.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on.
A few of the other members of staff have said you've been.
Oh, sorry. Just a moment, please. I've just dropped something on the floor. 1 second. I'm just picking something up. Sorry, you were saying just
John, this has confirmed it. You're blatantly doing narcotics in front of me, and this is the complaint that I've had from other members of staff. I'm afraid I'm going to have to let you go for this. This is serious misconduct.
What are you talking about? I dropped something on the look. We're just over here, right?
Security. Security, we need to. Can you escort Mr. McAfee out the building, please?
Hey, can I at least take my bag of
no,
icing?
That has to stay for evidence. Right, thank God he's gone. More for me.
So, he left Omex. And he ended up shuttered alone in his house doing drugs for days on end and wondering whether he should kill himself just like his father had. Not a good place, to say the least. However, At this point, John turns things right around. And that will all be covered in part 2 of the life of John McAfee.
Ooh. Exciting.
Indeed.
Exciting. Like this guy's life is like an episode of EastEnders, but more X-rated.
God, a lot of drugs. I feel like he's done more drugs at this point in the story than a lot of people have ever in their lives, legally or illegally, bro.
Yeah, basically. And the fact that he comes from, I don't want to sound like I'm judging people that work in tech, but like he it's not the stereotypical kind of story of somebody that works in tech. It sounds more like Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah,
exactly. It is a lot more like that. And I'm gonna be honest, Nick. It gets bigger is probably the best way of putting it, because I don't want to say better or worse, because it's what we have coming up is absolutely crazy, but the story gets bigger. So if you think it sounds out of this world now, it becomes ridiculous.
All right, well, I reckon we should hurry up and get into part 2. Of course, if you're on Patreon,
yep.
You know what I mean? You can head straight on to the next episode. So I'll quickly tell you, this podcast created by him, Marcus Bronzy, me, Nick Bright, produced by the one and only Billy Wright, sound designed by the legend James Sloan, and listened to by you lot. See you on the next one.
Bless.